the warmth of face-to-face classroom. Okay, so Ibu Francess will not be alone for today. We have some panelists that are present with us. Of course, Pak Jati already introduced us. We have Pak Made Heri Santosa from Sinanu, Bali. And
Yes.
then we have Kakak Toar, also from Salatiga. And then we have Kakak Daniel.
Halo, semangat.
Hi. All right. So before I hand the microphone over to Bu Francess, let me remind everyone of some important items. First things first, this webinar will be delivered mostly in English language. And of course, we have some occasional comments in Indonesian language. And today's webinar is being recorded as well as live on Facebook, and the recording and the materials presented will be shared later after the live session on the ITEL website. It's the same web page that you register for this webinar ticket. And then we love to hear from you. So if you want to say hi, chit chat, please set your chat box to all panelists and attendees. And then if you have questions, please drop your questions on the Q&A box. You can go to the tool below on your screen, and then the panelists will be happy to answer your questions. After that, the end of the session, we'll have question and answer session. We might add some people to ask question live later. We'll see the time. Okay, so be ready to ask those questions. And without further ado, let's welcome today's speaker, Ibu Sinanu. The microphone is yours.
Thank you, Grace. Good afternoon, Ibu Bapak, ladies and gentlemen. If you're from Indonesia, afternoon and evening. If you're from, I noticed that there are people from Germany and parts of the world. Good morning to you. My session today is probably a little bit different from other ITEL sessions where people share fancy, nice, sophisticated tools where you can get inspiration on how to teach using those tools. My session today will be mostly sharing. I will share some, and I will expect you to share as well. So I will invite you to participate and share. I hope that in this session, we can learn from each other on how to maintain social interaction in our remote teaching at this time of the pandemic. So I give the title Maintaining Social Interaction in Remote Teaching for my session today. But let me tell you a little bit of the background of why I came to this topic. Oh, sorry. Before that, I want to start with the check-in first. So can you go to this bit.ly FLS webinar 01 or 01, or just scan the QR code. Let's do some distance check-in or mood check-in, I would say. I'll give you some time to do this. I would expect everybody to participate in this distance check-in. You can go to the address there, or you can scan the QR code. The link will take you to Google Form, and there are questions there for you to answer. Please answer that. Take some time to really answer that. I'm going to play you some music, and when the song ends, you should be able to finish the check-in process. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we have more than 150 at the moment. So I'm gonna wait for more responses from you. Okay, we have 26. A little bit more, please. Okay, I like the song Happy, and I'm also happy that at least the majority of you are happy. So I'm going to start with the high note here, which is happy. Thank you for completing this. I'm going to go back to that later, but for now, let me continue my slide. We have people who are bored as well and lonely and hungry. Okay, yes, that's not good if you're hungry. Okay, so let me go back to the story of why I came up with this topic. I said that I would like to start with a high note because in this presentation, because my session is more sharing on the struggle and the difficulties that I experience in maintaining social interaction. And I want to hear from other teachers as well. Perhaps you have similar circumstances, situation, or stories, and maybe you have the solutions for that. And that's why I want us to do that in this session. So I'm going to share you, I got it from Teaching English British Council Facebook on June the 2nd. Which of your teaching from home activities have your learners enjoyed most? Can you tell us about it? There are 162 comments, and out of those comments, one is interesting for me. The comment says, me and my students don't enjoy teaching and learning at home. And of course, the response, somebody commented on that saying that, yeah, we don't enjoy it either, but there are certain activities that will make it more bearable. And I relate to this, particularly in the aspect of social interactions. I'm going to show you, this is a snippets from my course syllabus for a writing course that I'm teaching, team teaching at my department at UKSW here in Salatiga. We have already stated that there should be a commitment to learning in the syllabus. So this is clear, like you need to have a commitment to learning because we're gonna have an online class. And because of the internet problems, a lot of students do not have unlimited internet connection. The teachers in that team teaching group decided that we're gonna use low bandwidth tools, platforms. So we already identified in the course syllabus. So this is, I just took a screenshot from the syllabus, from the course syllabus. We're using Schoology as the LMS. We're using quizzes to replace the in-class grammar and vocabulary activity that we normally do in an offline class, but now we do it online. We identified that the office hours and consultation will be on Google Hangout and Google Chat. We're using Padlet and Google Docs. But look at this quizzes report here. I have 21 students, and for homework for meeting 4, which completed 2 days ago, only 3, 9, and 5 submitted. And there's nothing I can do about it. I cannot, if this is in the classroom, because quizzes is to replace the in-class grammar and vocabulary exercises that they normally do. If they don't do it in class, it will be very easy for us to just go to their wherever they are in the classroom and talk to them and ask them, but we can't. We rely on email, we rely on LMS to interact with our students. And that brings the frustration for some teachers. This is from Pat Calvin's presentation 3 days ago on the participant survey results on creating engaging learning tasks with technology. It's interesting for me to look at this results that from, I forgot how many, 184 participants, they chose 3 options, and most of them put social interactions and timely feedback at the least important principles for the teachers in developing their task. I think that's interesting because I'm very much struggling with social interaction, but maybe teachers don't really need that social interaction. So I'm going to share stories from my department at Satya Christian University. We normally have our weekly meeting during this working from home situation, and every Friday we meet and we share to just chit chat and talk, just like I tell coffee time. And these are some stories that teachers share during that session that I highlight related to social interaction. The first one is from Ibu Marta. She has a private course in Solo, And she said that whenever she teaches young learners, and sometimes she covers the camera when she wants to do something else, when she probably gives the students some. When she turned off the video, the students reacted, "Mama, Mama, I lost Miss Martha." So teacher presence is very important for young learners, but also for adult learners. Another story is students do not show up for consultation in WhatsApp with the classic excuse of no data, no internet access. Um, some Several teachers complained or addressed their grievance on how they have tried using all platforms to be available for the students. They open their WhatsApp. They even invite them to their other social medias, but the students are still not engaged. And number 2 until number 5 are for university level cases. Another one is a teacher said that she has to teach longer for 3:30 meetings becomes 6 hours. Um, and the asynchronous format for responding or giving feedback, because we decided to limit the video meeting due to the internet limitation, is becoming challenging for both teachers and students due to the long delay in the response that they get. So those are just some of the challenges and some of the stories that I can share with you. Now, I created a Padlet for you to also share your stories. What are the challenges that you experience when you are interacting with your students? Particularly because we are not teaching online because the course is designed to be an online class, but we are teaching online because of an emergency situation. So we are not trained to do that, and probably that comes with the consequences of having difficulties interacting. So I invite you to contribute your challenges in this Padlet. So this link will take you to a Padlet. And I would like to hear from you, and perhaps other teachers can relate to the same challenges that you experience in your teaching context.
Francis, I think the link doesn't work.
Oh,
Check again.
okay. Oh, yes, sorry. It should not be with 0, without O, so just like that, sorry. I just updated on it in the chat room. If you can go to the chat room, sorry, but panelists and attendees. Yeah, thank you, Grace. Okay, so we have Ibu Ivan, students do not submit assignment on time. This is interesting, Ibu Nina. Students don't want to have their camera on. Students were shy to tell their difficulties. That's similar to what we discussed in our meeting with the teachers here as well. Okay, interesting. I'm gonna leave this on for forever, and later on we're gonna go back here and we can add some more. But this is very interesting to know that you also have problems, and the problems are even more severe, such as like students cheat, students do not want to turn on camera. Maybe they are doing something else. Okay, so thank you, teachers, for sharing your stories and your challenges. What happened in our meeting when we discussed the stories that I shared with you from my colleagues here? We are in Central Java, so all the teachers are speaking in Javanese, and they were saying, I'm not Javanese, so I cannot repeat that. But basically, they're saying if this happens in class, like one of you, I forgot who mentioned in the Padlet, the students still don't understand. It's very difficult for them to understand simple or basic instruction. If this happens in class, the teacher will be very easy to just go to the students like, ooh, what happened with you? What's wrong? Come on, do this. But this is online, and particularly for university setting, it's very challenging. If you're teaching young learners, you communicate with their parents as well. You ask the parents join the WhatsApp group, and teachers communicate to the parents, letting the parents know what the students, their children have to do. But at the university level, it's really challenging because you just deal with the students. At some point, yes, we do not really pay too much attention to students. Whatever they want to do is they're adults, they're responsible for their choices. But how about if they're really struggling with online learning, and we need to hear about that as well. So I was very intrigued by one participant 2 days ago who asked the question. I actually forgot the name. Pak Jati, Toan, and Pak Made probably still remember the student from Jogja. And he said that the teachers only give materials. There's no interaction whatsoever, and he feels lost. And that's why I ask students my students. I don't really teach them, but I work with them because they are volunteers at Warung Prancis. So the students are volunteers at Warung Prancis UKSW, and they are majoring in English and economics. I just copied verbatim from our WhatsApp group. It is in Bahasa Indonesia. I'll give you some time to read their comments related to online classes. Okay, so I only copied 6 of them because I think that can represent their opinion. They miss the interaction with their friends. In our discussion in WhatsApp group, they said like, yeah, we miss eating at the cafeteria after class. We miss the interaction in the classroom with their friends. They miss the situation on campus as well. They miss the cafeteria. They also miss the fact that they can learn with their friends. They are more motivated when they are learning together with other students. Also, one student, he said that he's a little bit introvert, but he likes to be among crowds. One also said that it is difficult when you contact the lecturers, but the lecturers doesn't respond. She said that in regular, in normal face-to-face context, she can just go to the office, knock on the door during office hours. But now she has to rely on the virtual office hour. Also, one student said that for 3 credit course, sometimes the Google Meet, I think she's using Google Meet, is not 3 hours. It's shortened because of the limited internet, trying to make sure that we do everything efficiently. But that's the students' response. That's what they feel about this whole social interaction. They miss that social interaction in online classroom. So I tried to trying to deal with my own situation. I tried to find references on tips on how to maintain social interaction so I can really talk to my students. And I found this from Arizona State University on educational experience, on how there are 3 main components: the social presence, both the student's social presence and also the teacher's social presence, the teaching presence, including instruction and also instructor presence, and cognitive presence. 3 elements give a positive educational experiences. Research by Wei, Peng, and Chow also identified that from the 4 interactions in an online classroom, learner versus self-interaction, how the learner interact with the assignment, perhaps using completion tracking feature. The second kind of interaction is learner and interface interaction. This is particularly important when many teachers using different platforms, and then they have to make the students interact with different interface. Learner and content interaction, on how they react to the interaction. and learner-instructor and learner-learner interaction. So interaction between the student and the teacher and the students and the students. The research found that the last interaction, number 4, learner-instructor and learner-learner interaction, was the most consistent factor influencing their performance, as shown in the discussion forum, group project, and final exam. I would like to remind you that this research was conducted in an online classroom classroom that is designed to be an online classroom. It is an online course offered by universities, or it is a massive online course like MOOCs, Coursera, and other online classes. Not our situation at the moment where everybody is doing remote teaching. But what we need to remember, and I would like to remind us all, is that the effective remote teacher, we must intentionally promote the sense of community for the students, where they feel they belong to a collective group of community with their fellow students. Now, for those transitioning from face-to-face to remote teaching, myself included, this is not, this is very actually easier, because the students, they know each other from last semester or last year, and they just need to reconnect in a different class situation. This is different from when you are enrolling in a class where you don't know, like now you're joining this webinar without knowing where you are and the other from what places. But if you are doing face-to-face, transferring to an online setting, it's much easier. So the sense of community is very important. Now, I found some strategies to maintain social interactions in remote teaching, and I'm going to share with you, but I would like to remind you that this is taken from a different online classroom, not like the emergency online classroom that we have at the moment. The first one is sharing personal stories and experiences. You need to share to your students that you are there, because they're dealing with technology, with the computer, with the gadget. They need to see that there is another human being on the other end of the technology. So you need to create ice-breaking activity, or create the feeling that they belong to a classroom community. You can post or you can blog. Oh, this is the same double pasting. And you need to create office hours so that students can contact you. Another one is frequent feedback. This is related to one of the students' comment on how the students contact the lecturers, but the lecturers doesn't respond. In an online setting where, in an online class that is designed to be an online class, normally there is a weekly email where the students get email every week regarding what they're going to do in that particular week. But in our situation, it could be even more than weekly email. It could be also weekly post on social media where you really give feedback to your students. Office hours, you also need to have office hours so that students feel like they can get feedback from you. Some teachers require students to contact the teachers at least once during the course, and they give credit for that. I haven't done that. Perhaps that is something that I should consider. Give points for whenever they contact you. Having a continuous conversation. Now, this is related to the stories from the teacher, the last two stories on the difficulties of having asynchronous classroom, online class, because there's a long delay in responding to the discussion, for example, and sometimes you just lost interest. The students just lost interest in the middle of the discussion. So it is suggested that one of the strategies is to have a continuous conversation. You ask a trivia question related to the concept to get students engaged, and then including opportunities for collaboration, offer a poll where you ask your students' opinions on something related to the course and topic. So those are strategies that we can adopt in our online teaching, particularly to maintain social interaction. So now I'm going to share you what we do based on that strategy, and we use technology to help maintain social interaction in remote teaching. I'm going to give you examples. Not all of them are my examples. I also got it from my colleagues who shared their examples during our weekly meeting. The first one is WhatsApp. We had Pak Agus on Tuesday shared about this. However, I would like to emphasize that the WhatsApp should be used to interact and to connect with the students on a personal level, asking them how they're doing, not only to teach and deliver the materials. One teacher used this in my department to give motivation to the students through WhatsApp. And this is what the students respond to her WhatsApp. Thank you, ma'am, for asking how we're doing, because the teacher was asking about where did you eat, be careful. Certain areas in Salatiga at the moment are red zone, so the teacher checked with the student about their whereabouts. And for university students living alone, away from their parents, that's probably something personal that they feel connected to the teacher. So the WhatsApp group is used not to talk about the materials, but to talk about the problems that they have in their online learning. One teacher in a research design course also can use personal WhatsApp call to each student for consultation. So the students made an appointment schedule. They would like to have the consultation, and the teacher called the students, not the students called the teacher. The teacher even offer data package allowance because one student couldn't afford it. So WhatsApp is very common. I think Calm tomorrow is going to talk about WhatsApp as well. So I'm not going to talk more about that. Another tools that we use is Google Form, which we did at the beginning of this session as a distance check-in or mood check-in and check-out. And you can use emoticons or picture. This the one here we use emoticons on top here, tree, and then this we use pictures to make the students feel more relaxed. And the data can help you to be connected to your students and can help you to relate your lessons with the students' current situation. I'm just gonna share this Google Form. I know it's a very common tool that everybody knows how to use it probably, but the idea to use it for social interaction, we like to let students know that we are also fun. We are not this scary teacher. So we use emoticons, and perhaps you can use Bitmoji with your avatar. And this is something that you can use, particularly these questions. Well, I modified this question to our context as teachers, but you can say, how is your remote learning going? And this is this one, the fun, something fun that you're going to do. Then you can talk about what they do, or you can give activities related to what they plan to do this week, something that is not related to the course. I'm just going to share about these emoticons and picture. For picture, it's very easy. When you create a question like this, you can just click here and you can add image. And then you can search, you can Google image the search for whatever you want to search. I search happy, for example, and then happy birthday. And then it will show the picture of happy. For the emoticon, I add the extension to Google Chrome, keyboard for emoji. And to add the emoji, you can just, after you add the extension, you can just click on the emoji here, just like when you are writing with your, in your social WhatsApp on your mobile phone. And then you can choose this. hopefully this will make the students feel more relaxed and feel like, okay, the teachers are not as strict as they thought. That is personally my case. So that is the Google form where we use, even though it's very common, a lot of people use Google form, but the purpose of using Google form in this context is to check on your students, check on how they're doing, their well-being. We're in this together. The students are also struggling, the teachers are also struggling, and it's good to check on each other. Similar to Google Form, we use Padlet, in which you can include comments, and when conducted in real time, you can actually see the students typing their responses, and you can use video and pictures to show the human side of the class. I'm going to share you my Padlet where I introduce this, I asked the students to introduce themselves at the beginning of the semester. This is how are you today, and the students respond, they're happy. I asked them to, you can choose, you can use pictures, you can use, and this is good so that I can see my students. Otherwise, I don't really know who they are, what they look like. But this is an activity that you can use with Padlet. Also for the introduction, I asked them to introduce themselves using pictures and video, and they uploaded for the introduction to the course. So that is Padlet, similar to Google Form, but with a lot more interaction that can take place there. You can give like, and you can upvote, you can comment on each other as well, and you can add pictures and movies and other, it's more multimodal. Next is Google Chat. This is what my colleagues are using a lot in our department, because similar to WhatsApp, but it is done in a more controlled environment, because the students contact the teacher during consultation or during online class, because we're trying to do low tech. We don't use Zoom or Google Meet or other video teaching, but we use chatting, and we use Google Chat because we can control the students using their university email. The teachers also need to take care of themselves, and some teachers feel like they are burdened by the WhatsApp because everybody contact them. Sometimes students contact them at weird hours, and using Google Chat, they can do it on the computer when they log into their university email and not their personal email or personal phone number. What's nice about Google Chat is that Google Chat has thread feature that helps the students to follow the discussion and not being overwhelmed. If it is in WhatsApp, it will be very difficult to scroll up and find the question, find the first post, but in Google Chat, it's very easy. Also, Google Chat has a video call feature, so that if necessary, the students can call the teacher, and the teacher will be available during the office hour, virtual office hour, and also during the class schedule. And the last one is with Google Chat, you can see active indicator, so you can see whether the students are online or not. That can also be good for checking attendance. I'm going to share my Google Chat with my class, the same class that the syllabus I shared earlier. So what happened here, I have 23 members, that's me included. I can add the students. So I can add the students based on their university email, which is their student number, student ID. And then I can see here, they are all inactive when I copy this. But if they're active, it will be green. So I can check with them. And this is just snippets of it. I can create new thread, and then the students can follow the thread to join the discussion. So they can just follow a particular thread when the question is about, or the thread is about the homework, or the thread is about the in-class activity and not about other stuff. So normally I create questions about the particular item in the class, and then I also create a thread for others. Students can ask whatever they want in that others, and students can choose which thread, and they can track the conversation as well. So it's easier than in WhatsApp. That is Google Chat. The last one is what one teacher, she used Facebook. And when she shared this, I think it's very interesting because she particularly likes the watch party feature because she feels it mimics the face-to-face classroom setting where she can post videos, she can post her teaching video as well, and then after that students can discuss, which is just like when you are in a real face-to-face classroom, you watch video together and then you discuss about it in the comment section. And the plus point of this is because students are familiar with Facebook, and the teacher, she uses Facebook group where she doesn't have to be friends with the students, but they can belong to the same group. So this is another way to really interact with your students in whatever platform that they're comfortable, so that they can reach, the teacher can reach the students. And she said that this is the best for her. She tried several methods and she thinks this is the best for her because she can really connect to the students. Okay, so now it's your time. Let's go back to the same Padlet. For the problems that you identify at the beginning, I want you now to comment on that, and I want you to probably comment on other people's posts and share what tools do you use to interact with your students and how do you use it. So I'm going to give you some time to do that, so that we can have that Padlet complete. Challenge, not only challenges, but also the tools and how you use that tools to interact with your students. You also identify how you use it to maintain social interaction and what kind of interaction that you do with that tools and how that tools help you to be connected to your students. Okay. Okay, so Pak Khairul Anam, we are silent because we are completing the Padlet. I want to give time for teachers to complete the Padlet. There's no rush here. And I'm playing you the music by Jimmy Cliff. Yeah, I think I chose that song because even though we do have problems, but through meetings like this, meetings of great minds of teachers, we can share ideas and hopefully there will be new light at the end of the tunnel for our online teaching. Okay, so most of you just wrote down the tools of what you used. It's not really clear on how the tools helps you to interact with your students, but some did put how they use it, send emails to teachers and parents. Singing and dancing, okay. That will also be an idea actually. A friend, I didn't put it here because I don't, I'm not really sure of the details, but one friend said that online classroom interaction using TikTok, the teachers are fun enough to do TikTok and the students connect with the teachers through that. But I don't have TikTok, so I don't know how it works. But that can be an idea. Okay, this is very interesting. Thank you, teachers, for sharing your the tools and your experience in using the tools to interact with your students. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna leave the Padlet on forever. So whenever you need ideas, you can always go back to that Padlet and see what other teachers are doing related to interacting with their students. So thank you very much. That is the end of what I can share with you. I told you at the beginning that this is a sharing session, so I would like to hear more from your experiences in the field. How do you, in your teaching context, how do you maintain social interactions? It's very easy to find ideas on which tools to use, what apps that we can use to teach a particular language class, but it doesn't matter on how fancy the tools you use when the students just don't engage in that in your teaching, and you will feel frustrated like I did. And we need to find solution for that, because social interaction is very important in the students' learning progress. And when we transfer that face-to-face to online teaching, we are faced with a great challenge of not having that normal interaction, and we just have to think about how we maneuver around that limited face-to-face interaction. Thank you very much for joining the session, and also for sharing your ideas. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Ibu Francess. Clap, clap, clap for Ibu Francess if we think that she gave such a lovely presentation. Okay, so I really learned a lot as well. And what I really like is when you describe like how students need to feel like there's someone at the end of the tool. And yeah, as a teacher, I feel that way too. Like, yeah, I would like to know like if there's the student at the end of the tool as well. So yeah, so the interaction that we're all missing. So hopefully with some ways that Ibu Frances already shared, then we can increase our interaction more in the classroom. Okay, so with that, we are on the question and answer session. Okay, so let's see. There's some, I think on the question and answer box is just some sharings, but we have, perhaps we can call someone from the attendees, from the participant. Ibu Irma Sinta Dewi is raising her hand. Let's check. Ibu Irma, are you there?
Okay, Ibu Irma, can you unmute your microphone, please? Because you're raising your hand. Yes, Ibu Irma.
Okay, thank you. Actually, it is I'm talking with my child that talking about this topic, and I don't know that my finger is touched the the hand, but it's okay. I really like this sharing, and maybe because of I am a slow learner, so I think I have to learn more about this, and maybe I just want to know how to make podcasts more and to practice making some of the activities using what you have shared. Especially maybe for writing and speaking activities for productive skill. Do you have any more suggestions? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Bu Mawang. I think enough.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Ibu Irma. Anyone want to respond? It's not necessary for that.
Yeah.
But if Ibu Irma, you can go to our website For season 1, we have 12 topics, and some of them will answer your questions on application for speaking and writing for productive. So you go to itel.or.id, and then you go to event, and then you will see webinar season 1 and also season 2.
Okay.
There are some, there is quite clear, a lot of tools, and also how to use it with the material. So you can download with the material,
Oh, okay.
presenters material and slide. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
tell you,
didn't enjoy with the first.
yeah, and spread the news that is there to your friend. Maybe some of your friend also need to look at that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
And also, Pak Jati, I shared the website here,
Yeah.
Ibu Irma. If you can see, this is what Pak Jati mentioned. And also, you can go to British Council Teaching English website to get more ideas on how to teach Ibu Irma related to your teaching context.
Okay, I love that.
So go to ITAL and also British Council.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Irma. So if you want to ask questions, there are 2 ways. Grace?
Yes, there are 2 ways. Thank you, Pak Jati. Okay, so you can drop your questions on the question and answer box. Okay, so far, there are some comments.
Yeah,
There's
no questions. Good, because I don't know what to answer.
Okay, yeah, you can ask question in the question and answer box, but also you can raise your hand. Okay, so Pak Hairul right now is on. Can we hear you, Pak Hairul? Hairul?
Pak Khairul, can you hear us then? Please unmute your, yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Accidentally hit the raise hand button, perhaps.
Yeah,
Hello.
perhaps. Oh yeah. Hi,
Oh,
Pak Khairul.
Yeah, okay. It's been a long time for me not to see my students. I miss them so much.
Me too,
So,
Pak.
yeah, based on your title in this seminar is that maintaining social interaction with the students in the remote learning. I don't see any interaction with my students. So, because the most impressive interaction is when we can hold together and face directly the students. So, how is the best way to make the social interaction with the students to be more attractive and more impressive? Okay, I think that's all.
Okay. Thank you, Bu Francis.
Thank you, Pak Khairul. Yes, of course, face-to-face interaction is irreplaceable. That's the best one, especially if you're accustomed to that. I don't have the exact answer for you, Pak, because it depends on your teaching context. I shared several tools and the strategies I mentioned earlier on how you can deal with your students. But the first thing that you need to do is you need to ask your students the best means to contact them, to connect with them. We have situations in my teaching context where the students just cannot have Zoom meeting. If they join Zoom meeting, it will be a disaster because they will be kicked out of the room and then they have to enter again. So even though it's nice because I can see them and they can see me, but it's not practical for my context, and that's why I need to figure out of other ways to interact and to connect with my students. So I think you can reflect on your own teaching context. And I'm sure if you go to Padlet, you can read other teachers' comments as well, their sharings on how they use that. Because I don't know how impressive and how for your students on the interaction, especially if you don't like. If you already said that the best interaction is face-to-face, yes, agree. But then it doesn't mean that when there's no face-to-face, you cannot interact. You just need to figure out ways to deal with that, Pak Khairul. So yeah, there are many ways. I shared some tools in my presentation. Perhaps you can go back to that, or you can go to the Padlet and read other teachers' comments, because I read some great tools that teachers use to interact with their students. They can help you as well, Pak. Perhaps other panelists can help Pak Khairul.
Yeah, go ahead, panelists. Maybe Ibu Yvonne. Ibu Yvonne want to say something? Or usually Kakak Daniel. Kakak Daniel is the one that usually has lots of brilliant ideas about this.
I've been enjoying this discussion very much. While waiting for others, maybe Madi will be the next after me.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very important. Instead of paying attention to or on the students' learning progress, that their students' social emotional condition is way more important. And I agree with Pak. Who's the previous asking question? Khairul?
Yeah. Pak
Yeah.
Khairul.
Okay, Pak Khairul. Do you have social media, Pak?
Are
you active
media
on Facebook or
yeah,
Instagram?
yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
I have.
Okay, so in my case, I like sharing. Well, instead of using WhatsApp, I use WhatsApp a lot more than using other LMS, to be honest. So I use Instagram to build connection to my students during this pandemic situation. So if I can share some example here, allow me to share my screen. Okay. So can you see my screen, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, let me just go on with my Instagram. I'm not going to promote my Instagram account, but this is the way I just remember one thing. Okay. So look at here. So this has been posted on May. So it's been a month ago. Okay. So this post is meant to, refresh the moment of togetherness with my students, and to, and to poke them. I tag them. Okay. So for me, the the connection between teacher and student is not like teacher and student in decades ago, when there is a really strong gap between teacher and students, guru dan murid, like that. But they are my friends, so I mostly know their Instagram account. I tag them. I want them to share in their Instagram story. So this cures, by the way, ya. Meskipun terlihatnya simple, cuman ngetek seperti ini, but it builds connection. It strengthens the bonds between teacher and students. Moreover, in this pandemic situation, you can have a look at the comment here. Some students are, miss you guys so bad. Kita kok nggak ada, and so on.
Yeah.
So you can use different platform that can involve your students in. So probably this is not based on any theories, but I do believe that we can do any simple way to maintain interactions, part of our, LMS or any tools that Miss Francess has mentioned earlier. But this is a good, for me, this is a good additional thing because maybe nobody has ever mentioned in Padlet as I scroll down the page, but yeah, hopefully it works. Thank you very much for the chance.
Yeah, a little bit I would like to tell you, all the panelists, that I'm teaching in a vocational high school. So it's just like SMK. Yeah? So it's not the same as students at the universities. When I try to use Zoom meeting, only about 60% join that, so we cannot do it maximally. Even if I try to do with another social media, yeah, my problem is it's difficult for me to force the students to do what I want to do. So anyhow, I miss meeting face to face to my students. So social media is helpful, but it cannot do maximally for my teaching learning process. Anyhow, thank you for all the input information that has been given to me, and yeah, that's what I am facing in my teaching right now.
Okay, thank you, Pak
Thank you, Pak.
Herwanam.
Semangat, Pak.
Thank you,
Pak
Pak.
Made wants to add something?
Yes, Usi Grace, thank you. Terima
Ya.
kasih. Ingin menambahkan saja Pak Khairul dari apa yang disampaikan teman-teman dari Kakak Daniel. Yang pertama, ketika bicara social interaction seperti yang Usi Francess sampaikan tadi, kita bicara sisi sosial, sisi yang bukan sifatnya formal di sana, ada psikologi di sana. Jadi di sanalah kita dituntut bagaimana menggunakan kemampuan-kemampuan sosial kita, keterampilan sosial kita untuk mendekati personal approach mereka. Apapun yang Bapak pakai nanti, apakah seperti Mas Daniel pakai Instagram atau apa, itu hanyalah tools atau alat. Jadi semua akan bergantung pada konteks Pak Khairul sendiri. Jadi kalau kita bicara konsep atau teori pembelajaran yang efektif, effective learning, itu tidak bisa hanya bicara kalau pakai IG pasti efektif. Tapi ada banyak sekali aspek atau dimensi dalam pembelajaran. Misalnya input dari siswanya, misalnya strategi dari gurunya, misalnya pendekatan belajarnya, bahkan fasilitas seperti air conditioner juga berpengaruh begitu Pak. Jadi sangat bergantung pada your context. Dengan tentu tetap menerapkan prinsip-prinsip pembelajaran yang efektif begitu ya. Jadi misalnya nanti pakai IG bisa saja meski yang perlu diperhatikan adalah privacy konsep gitu ya, atau konteks, misalnya tadi ada nama yang kelihatan, tagging, geotagging dan seterusnya itu perlu diperhatikan. Kemarin kakaknya ini sudah bicara. Saya misalnya tidak terlalu akan mau menggunakan sosial media karena bagi saya, kalau saya sendiri itu ada privacy konteks di sana. Jadi saya pribadi menggunakan mode lain, tetap dengan misalnya learning management system karena harus online, tapi saya mau membuka dengan WhatsApp sekarang. Namun sebelum saya mulai kelas, saya membuat semacam housekeeping, Pak. Jadi ada general rules begitu. Harus misalnya foto profilnya yang jelas, namanya yang jelas, kapan harus menghubungi, dan diajak mereka saling support. Bukan hanya mereka tanya dengan saya, tapi ketika ada pertanyaan, yang lain boleh merespon. Dan sisi well-being, kesehatan kita perlu diperhatikan Pak, baik kesehatan siswa maupun kesehatan Bapak sendiri sebagai guru. Jangan baru kita kasih-kasih, kita sendiri yang sakit kan gitu, jadi bahaya juga nanti gitu ya. Nah salah satunya misalnya kalau ada yang masalah, saya kadang bahkan menghubungi pribadi Pak. Jadi saya tidak akan sampaikan di publik begitu, saya akan chat dia atau bahkan telepon. Gimana kabarmu? Kenapa begini? Jadi sentuh dengan apa ya, semacam ya itu cara masing-masing ya saya pikir, tapi intinya bagaimana membangun dan mengorangkan dia gitu loh. Itu saya pikir yang penting. Yang kedua saya ingin komentari masalah Bapak bilang pakai Zoom hanya 60% dan seterusnya. Sekali lagi ini bicara masalah alat saja Pak, apakah pakai Zoom, pakai Google Meet dan seterusnya, that's only your tool. Tetapi Bapak mungkin perlu merefleksi kembali apakah misalnya apa yang saya sampaikan menarik. Apakah mereka merasa mendapat manfaat dari apa yang saya sampaikan. Apakah tujuan pembelajaran, learning objectives atau RPP-nya sudah sesuai begitu. Kemudian ketika saya bicara learning objective, apakah langkah-langkah pembelajaran saya sudah relevan, sudah menarik bagi anak-anak seusia mereka, apakah masih gaya konvensional begitu atau kolonial, sedangkan yang kita ajar milenial seperti itu Pak. Dan kemudian mereka merasa diberi sesuatu dan mendapatkan katakanlah reward atau evaluasi yang tepat. Tentu Bapak yang paling tahu. Itu yang bisa saya sampaikan Pak. Kalau ada yang lain bisa kita ngobrol nanti. Terima kasih.
Kayaknya internet connection Pak problemnya.
Oh gitu.
Ya, kalau problemnya internet connection perlu dipikirkan low teknologi apa yang bisa digunakan gitu. Tidak bisa dipaksakan. And saya setuju dengan Bapak, memang face to face sangat penting dan bermanfaat, tetapi untuk saat ini kita nggak punya pilihan, itu masalahnya.
Iya.
Dan terus datangnya tiba-tiba gitu kan, terus terjun bebas aja, arahan tidak ada. Makanya social interaction ya tidak ada yang mengarahkan, dan begitulah kira-kira. Ya, saya mencoba kirim ke chat Pak, mungkin nanti bermanfaat, ada video yang cocok mungkin untuk SMK di sana. Saya sudah kirimkan di chat room. Ya, maturun Pak Khairul.
Sama-sama Pak Gumawan, Pak Jati, Pak Ari, terima kasih, Bu Francess, Bu Grace.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Hairul. Okay, so on that note, there's a question, the Q&A box that would like to ask: how often do you suggest us teachers to text or check the student in order to maintain students' engagement in online classroom? This is based on Ibu Francess' presentation. Okay, Bu Francess would like to answer first.
I will go back to Pak Made's point on you also need to consider the teacher's well-being. So be reasonable with your own time management, especially if you're working from home and you are also, you have other responsibilities at home. It's not easy to teach at home if you have your family and you have to take care of your family. So perhaps once a week, ideally perhaps, but it goes back to your context, whether the students really need a regular checkup like that, or maybe you can do it twice a week, or even once every 2 weeks. It depends on how many classes you teach, how many students you have, and make sure that it is not overwhelming for you as well as teacher. This goes both ways, for teachers and for students.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, because like some teachers, we teach like more than 100 students, right? And then like, perhaps it's impossible for us to like check one-on-one with them like per week even, right?
I know, that's why it depends.
It depends. What I really like actually from Ibu Francess, that there's a check-in and check-out form. It's just like, it's a quick way to check whether they're okay. So yeah, so they feel like we care about like their well-being as well, instead of like having to check on them like one-on-one. They can check in and check out through forms as well. Okay, let's see. Perhaps we can ask one participant to join us for question. Sultan Rangko.
Yes, Pak Sultan.
Sultan Rangko, you can unmute your microphone.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for this time you can see me. Hello, can you hear
Yes,
me?
we can hear you.
We can hear you clearly, Pak. Go
Okay.
ahead.
It's very nice materials for this afternoon in my place. All the materials are explained and practiced directly in this webinar. And I can catch what is I can catch the way how to make social interaction with my students anyway. I, as a teacher in a border island, it's very hard to know my students when this pandemic happened. When I try to make learning process through learning management system. The problem, I think, as general, depend on the tools, the signal, and the economic situation for all the students. It's the first. So it's very hard to know the students at this time. Maybe this is general questions from all of us as a teacher. And the second question is, as you said that the Miss Francess explained before that teaching from remote teaching, it's from the findings that you presented from before the situation of pandemic happened. So I would like to ask you, may you give us any kind of findings of remote teaching interaction at this situation right now? Thank you.
Okay, Pak Sultan. I missed the first question actually, but for the second question, my examples are actually strategy and tools that teachers in my department are doing at the moment during the pandemic. So that's not pre-pandemic, but that's now while pandemic is happening. So I think you mentioned earlier that I gave examples from before the pandemic. No, it's actually during the pandemic.
Okay.
The theory is actually before the pandemic, and the theories, the explanation about social interaction, they are from a regular online class, not the kind of online class that are emergency online class because of the pandemic.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pak Sultan.
Thank you, Pak Sultan.
You're welcome.
All right. So we still have 30 minutes. Ibu Francess.
Yes, I think Pak Tuah has already answered Ibu Anggari Penny's question about group work and online.
This is
using Facebook group. What I'm doing at the moment with my writing class is we're using Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slide to have group work, students interaction in a group, completing a project.
Kakak Toar wants to add anything?
No.
He already answered in the Q&A.
Yeah, perhaps wants to answer live.
The question about using Facebook group. I mean, using social media, I found that really I mean, this is about the social interaction. I mean, because um, I once did it through email, but it was too formal, so I moved that to social media at that time, Facebook, and I found it quite working because I mean it was not really that serious, but yeah, it worked. So students can we can joke in that group, we can be serious in that group. It was a closed group, so not everyone can see that. But it was like 4 years ago. I don't know about now whether it's still working or not.
We can try, right? We can always try, like Pajati always said, that this is a time for us to, yeah, try anything.
Yeah, I
We
mean
can,
the point is you need to go where the students are comfortable. I mean you don't have to
exactly.
force some certain platform. You
Mhm.
need to go. I once used, you know, what is it? What is it called? The like WhatsApp line.
Ah.
Because my students were, we are all in line. But I was the one who was not comfortable with line.
So what did you do?
Yeah, it's different. At that time, it was, I mean, 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting to think Pato Aris using
You
line.
need to go where the students are. I mean, I.
Okay, so thank you for your answer. Thank you for the question. And also, perhaps this is the time
For
we,
singing.
for Ibu Francess to sing a song. Perhaps after this.
It's exactly 5, so this is the time to end today's webinar.
Yeah, so thank you so much, everyone, for participating. And also, of course, Ibu Francess for delivering such a wonderful presentation. Clap, clap, virtual clap for Ibu Francess.
Thank you. I hope it's useful.
Yes, it is very useful. And then also, like Ibu Francess said, that her Padlet is open. So if you want to check on the Padlet, you can always go to the Padlet. Okay, so we're done for today. Pak Jati.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kakak Francis and also Kakak Grace for everything. Brilliant, very useful for sure. Face-to-face interaction is very easy and warm and so on, but suddenly we are cut off and we are not allowed to do that. So we have to think how to interact digitally, like or we don't like it. Kan yang jadi masalah tidak hanya siswanya yang suka belajar bergerombol, dosennya pun juga kan. Aku biasanya kan sebelum ngajar bertemu siapa untuk ngobrol, apa ya ini baiknya tak bagaimanakan dan segala macam. Sekarang tidak, harus bekerja sendiri and it's not easy. Sama dengan mahasiswa, sama dengan siswa-siswa kita juga. Kalau mereka habis di ruang kelas menerima pelajaran dari bapak atau ibu guru, keluar di kantin dia ngobrol soal pelajarannya dengan temannya gitu. Itu ada ruang itu. And we don't have that for this moment. Moga-moga dengan beberapa penjelasan tadi kita bisa membangun interaksi yang baik, saling support ya dengan environment kita antar teman juga, antar teman guru, antar teman dosen, dengan mahasiswa atau siswa yang kita hadapi. Kayak gitu kayak thank you very much. And tomorrow we're going to have the last session for season 2. That will be calm. The director from one of the director from the British Council, and about the same time, this time it's going to close the season 2. Gitu. Anyone from the panel want to add something? Please go ahead. Kakak Daniel, Kakak Neni want to say something? Monggo.
Kakak
No?
Neni, good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, I will let you know tomorrow whether Com want us to be the panelists or not. Let's see, I'm communicating with him. Kadang-kadang beliau mungkin nanti nggak nyaman dikeroyok dengan banyak orang takut, gitu kan? Atau sebaliknya, let's see the mood for tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you very much. Brilliant, and see you tomorrow. Yeah, bye.
See you tomorrow.
Jaring bilang.
Saya sudah stop live di Facebook. Saya sudah